I do like the shout out Breaking Point. I do like to shout out Breaking Point for some of the vids they put out. We need more people documenting the history. Yes, but the problem with that is that when you, how do I say this? When you do research without speaking to people who were actually there, there's a lot of nuances that get lost in the sauce, and a bit of revisions happen in the history which need not to happen. And it's a conversation that I had with Roger before, right? Like when we do process videos and we do that, sometimes they cut out something that I say, and sometimes they leave stuff that I said. And when they cut stuff out, they're sort of like, whoever's editing process in that particular point is sort of saying, that's not important. And my question to that is like, who the fuck are you to say whether it is or isn't, right? And in a creative environment, the way that OpTic is, where I like to push creativity first, surrounding a very serious thing as competition is in esports, you know, heated conversations happen in both. And I'm not the type of figurehead to disallow from someone to have a different opinion than me. You know, like I welcome the discourse of what is and what isn't creative, or why should we do something in a certain way or tell a story a certain way. But when it comes to OpTic, like, it's my way or the fucking highway. Period. You know? You don't know better than me. You're new to OpTic still. You know what I'm saying? But without people like Roger, who, you know, who challenge me and have their opinions. Hitch obviously challenges and has his opinions. We should pick up this person. We should do this. No, calm down. It's not about. It's not as simple as that. Like, by doing that, and I've told Hitch this, by just picking up, you know, random people, instead of like being selective of who you become one of those orgs. You become one of those orgs that pays people a bunch of money so that hopefully their fans can like your logo. And that is not sustainable. It never is. Forcing something like that is just not my way of thinking. It'll never be that. I mean, we tried that. I mean, when Infinite tried that, right? And did it work? No. A constant argument going on up here about the way that we did Intel, the way that we did like us sponsoring a UFC fighter in 2014, or yeah, in 2014 when we were in the house. Like, we did a lot of firsts that maybe we sort of go through with that also, like in situations like this one, where the constant struggle is, how do I help create those documentaries without influencing the documentaries, so that there is actual factual things where I don't run the risk of talking about me in a manner that may have not been real for a specific situation. For example, in order to outline how it happened that Nadeshot left OpTic, right? Me sitting in a boardroom in, I don't even know, 2015 or whatever, in a boardroom downtown Chicago. There's a fan right here and a fan back there that's blowing my hair into my forehead. Okay, I'm not itching because I'm ticking. I was in a boardroom talking to Turtle Wax, downtown Chicago, skyscraper, boardroom, looking at that, and that's when I got an email from Nadeshot saying that he was leaving to go start his own thing. And I'm in the middle of this thing, and that was a shocker to me, right? I can't tell that story without asking Nadeshot what his side of the story looked like, right? Therefore, I can't be the one that's in charge of making these things. I do want to make I have plenty of story to tell, okay? And I'm not talking about me. I'm just the things that happen. What is the documentary of Machinima? Well, I have access to the alt-leftist known as Hutch. Kidding. But I do have access to Hutch. I have access to Nanners-ish. I have access to my brother, fucking Mr. Sark, the funniest fucking man on the fucking planet. So what does that look like? Hollywood, right? Red and blue. I'm talking about Red 15 and blue. The graphic designers from there. You know what I'm saying? Like I do. Aaron de Beauvoir, the nephew of the guy that founded Michelle. I have them, but I cannot influence them because it will be an accidental revision Or maybe I want to paint myself in a better light than I would have otherwise. So how do I pay somebody to do that? Because it needs to be done. Difficult. Did Hector get a hold of some coke or something? What's going on? Sen Rusho. I've never done coke. I've never tried coke. I've never wanted to try coke. The only drugs I've ever done, if you consider them drugs, is marijuana, shroomsies. What else? I'm not an adventurous person. I didn't do acid when I could have in my younger days because it said it lasted 8 hours, and that did something to me. So no. Am I talking too fast? Have you ever watched any of my live streams? What makes you say that? No, Marksman. Again, the way that I just told the story that surprises you that Nate didn't talk to me in person, you got to understand that in those times, I had stopped talking to Nate Shot because he and I were like on rocky terms. So see, exactly like that is the reason why making documentaries or just on your own is... It's a bit too superficial to not get down to the nitty gritty. He only sent me an email because that was the only way that he could get a hold of me in those moments. You know, I was heartbroken, and he was heartbroken too. Like friends went their separate ways, and that's never cool. So, you know what I mean? That's what I mean by when you tell stories like that, like it's you got to get all of the angles, right? And there's certain people that were there. Hitch and I have had this like long conversation about things that we want to do in the future from that, and I can show you my fucking pages and pages and pages of ideas of what would be a good thing to document. Again, the same way that I like to hoard nice things that look nice when they are not in a scenario in which they look like hoarding, as it currently stands in my office. I do the same thing with footage. I have all of my X files are somewhere in that fucking closet where I have everything. The day that we moved into the house, the day, like all of it, right? So no, Hex is not on coke. Hex talks like this in the morning. He's energetic. Hitch is a tremendous storyteller in video form. Just saying. Yes, but sometimes Hitch rewrites something somehow because he's so close to OpTic that sometimes he feels like as he remembers something differently from a story that he heard from someone who was actually there and he wasn't. Hitch came to OpTic in 2015, 16. So OpTic had already been around for like 5 years, an entire era of Predator, D-Treats, Hutch, my brother, the OpTic snipe, the first ever sniping team. Like all of these things happened before he was even there. So, but all that to say is that if there's somebody that I trust to do something, it's him. But I do criticize him a lot in person to him, to his face, on some things where I disagree on the things that he said. Yeah, Diesel, obviously the creator of that logo. It was him and this guy named Lyric. I don't know. I think it was Lyric. I don't fucking know. And it's not on any of the lyrics that you do. There will always be bias. I went to college for journalism, and they taught us to try and avoid it, but it always will happen.